Hello everybody, welcome back to the internet's best reactions. Now, I am pacing around because I don't really know what occurred yesterday. I'm kind of full of energy. I don't really know where to look, where to stand, what to do. It was an absolute worldie of a race, and I said it was going to be a banger last time out, and it absolutely was. In my opinion, had more drama than Germany, and I enjoyed it more than Germany. I know, I'm sorry, I put it out there. Let us know in the comment section below which one you think was better, Germany or Brazil. I know there'll be a war, but I want to see which one wins. And also, I'm wearing this t-shirt, which got a lot of love, I think, 2 races ago. There's going to be a link in the description if you want to check it out. Get on board with the Kimi Räikkönen fan club. Pick up one of these, it'll be absolutely fantastic. Now, let's get into your reactions. Now, at the start of the hashtag WTF1 race reactions, and this one I enjoy quite a lot, just purely because they're wrong and it doesn't age very well. At Connor SUFC_, another crashless, boring start. Now, I know it was crashless, but I don't think it was boring. I know that Verstappen got away well and blah, 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 but it was still a pretty hectic start. And I quite enjoyed it, actually. I didn't think it was boring. I think there was a lot of action in the midfield, especially Ricciardo, Norris and Leclerc. Leclerc and Ricciardo going side by side, and then Norris just getting involved as well. It was gorgeous! At Lando's Norris book, Ricciardo sending it into Magnussen. My goodness me. What is going on with Danny Ric's overtakes this season? It just feels like, and I think I've said this before, he just does not have a handle of that Renault braking system, especially now that they don't have that cheeky illegal system that they had in Japan, eh? But yeah, it's weird to see that Ricciardo just locking up, just not feeling as precise, as beautiful as he is with overtakes in that Red Bull, just hasn't been the same in the Renault and smashed Magnussen off. Definitely his fault. Danny Ric getting another 5-second penalty to add to his tally this season, and Magnussen was just like, you effing idiot, which, you know, would we have expected anything else when that team radio popped up for Magnussen? No. At Baker_F1, reaction to the near miss between Verstappen and Kubica in the pit lane. What on earth are Williams doing? Letting Kubica out when he is pretty much getting lapped in front of the leader battling Hamilton. Obviously, Williams know this. Williams know that there's a fight for the lead. They're not fighting anybody. Let's be real here. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just being realistic at the moment. Although Russell did actually finish P12 in the end, so who am I to say anything? But Kubica being let out in front of Verstappen, that could have been pretty catastrophic for Max's race. 2 years in a row he got screwed over by a back marker, but my God, Max was ready for, and the word of the week was redemption. Oh, and he redempted himself. Is that a word? No, I don't think it is, but he redemptified himself. Redemption ending? 2! So with Verstappen's pit stop, he came out behind Hamilton, who was trying to get past Leclerc at the time, and then it all just kicked off. At F1 Tove, Verstappen's move on Hamilton. What a beautifully amazing, wonderful gif. Still my favourite gif of all time. I know that it's kind of up in the air as to which one number 1 is, but I think this has to be number 1 for me. I've decided now. But what a move from Verstappen. He gets past Leclerc at the It's Glock corner, and then just slipstreams with a absolutely ridiculous fast Honda engine, and then just gets in the slipstream of Hamilton and then sends it up the inside with absolutely no craps given. Unreal. I mean, what a move from Verstappen, and that wasn't the only one. We'll get on to the next one soon. Now, this moment in the race, it sent me slightly wild. Sent me slightly... I wanted to mute the television because Crofty got it very, very wrong. At HBinder500, Crofty commentating on Hamilton overtaking Albon, confusing him with Verstappen. I don't know what other people use. I know some people use helmets to identify drivers or the number or whatever, but for me, I actually find it quite useful with the T on top, like behind the driver up here. Where it has the yellow if it's usually the second driver, or it's not yellow if it's the first driver. It's just a normal whatever sort of mixing in with the livery. But it's quite obvious that when you see that yellow thing, that's Albon, and then he's commentating for what felt like 6 months, going, "Oh, you know, Hamilton back in the lead," even though we can see another Red Bull just a second or two down the road. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. Harry Pinder, thank you for that submission, because I just wanted to vent. I did. And Crofty, just do better, okay? You were actually quite good, to be fair. For most of the race, Crofty did very well when he was hyping up beautifully. But that moment sent me nuts. I'm feeling pretty wild today. I'm so ecstatic from what happened yesterday. It's why I'm an F1 fan, so if I'm being weirder than usual, I don't apologise, I really don't care. At Fabian Gaming 7-3, Bottas retires and stops in a safe position. To be fair, Bottas did all he could to park in a position that was safe. He was bouncing along the grass, he was like, ooh, and he was taking a slight beating on his buttocks, and then he parks at the exit road and still safety car. I think it was because they needed a crane, which I imagine, I don't know, they needed to get from A to B to then pick up Bottas's car, but we all were sat there going, well, Bottas has parked in a really nice, safe manner, which he's supposed to do, but every F1 fan's like, well, it's not going to be a safety car then, is it? Well, what's the point, Bottas, for God's sake? But it was a safety car, and that is when the chaos just unfolded. Now, I know a lot of you will be tuning in for my reaction, Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel versus Charles Leclerc. 4th and 5th, I believe, at the time. At Helena Hates You, and I really enjoy her actual name, which is Actual Fangirl, not just Passionate. I don't know if that's for me or for Charles, but I imagine it's for Charles. What a man he is. So Ferrari's plan C was for collision. Or clown, there's a clown in the GIF. Either or, that was absolutely ridiculous what happened with the Ferraris, wasn't it? So Charles Leclerc steams up the inside at turn 1 past Sebastian Vettel. Good, clean move. Sebastian then gets a nice run, gets DRS down the straight towards turn 3, and it all goes wrong. Very quickly wrong as well. After I've watched the incident quite a few times, I think that it was a racing incident. I don't think Sebastian deserved a penalty or anything. Charles, when you look at it, he maintains a straight line pretty much, apart from slightly going over to the left to try and avoid what Seb was doing. But for me, you look at that situation, it's happening at 200 miles an hour, so it was a very split decision, and it was a tiny, tiny impact which wiped them both out. But it smelt a lot like Turkey, Webber versus Vettel. But either way, you look at Sebastian, you're like, well, why don't you just continue on straight? You've got the racing line into the next corner, but obviously with racing, they try and squeeze each other and give the opponent the worst line possible into the next corner. But for me, they're Ferrari teammates. They are teammates. They shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. It's kind of... I feel like it's a little bit more Vettel's fault, just purely for the way he comes over, but Charles maybe could have given him more space. But then he said in an interview that he thought Sebastian was going to go out the inside. So it's a racing incident. I'm not going to blame either person in terms of penalties-wise, but I think Sebastian could have maybe done a little bit more to sort of minimise the risk. But either way, that caused even more chaos. At Adrian FC 2010. I love this meme so much. He could have used a different blooming colour. It's not particularly clear, but you'll be able to see that. Ferrari team battle in a nutshell. So this man clearly blaming Vettel for Ferrari's terrible weekend, but I don't think it's as clear-cut as that, but definitely still Vettel's fault a little bit more. Please don't hurt me. I'm just a passionate person, not fanboy. So the Ferraris crash. Another safety car comes out. Hamilton makes an absolutely ridiculous, risky move. It wasn't even clear whether or not we were going to get any more racing. I think it happened on lap 66, 67. Hamilton goes into the pits, 4 or 5 laps remaining, goes onto the softs, goes behind Albon at the time. It's so difficult to remember what happened in this race, but either way, Hamilton is behind Albon trying to get onto the podium, or actually that would have been P2 at the time. At Mr. Barnbeers, Hamilton takes out Albon. Every single F1 fan. Now, I think this GIF pretty much sums up the entire F1 community when this happened. I was rooting for Albon. I was like, come on, you can get a podium, my lad. This is it. It's in your lap. And then he just takes a slightly wider line. Hamilton, championship's wrapped up. He's going to make those moves. He made the move. I liked the fact Hamilton was going for risky moves, but my God, why did he have to do it on Albon? My poor, sweet, innocent Albon. He was running in a podium. He would have easily got a podium. He had Gasly behind him, he was never going to challenge him. And then he just trying to hold back the tears, man. It was genuinely sad. I was sat there like, oh my God. Although my sadness quickly turned into pain. My sadness quickly turned into pleasure because then Gasly was in P2. At Nicholas Sidney, me, while the last rounds of the GP, I imagine that means laps, and seeing Gasly winning against Hamilton on the straight, what an amazing race and result for Gasly. I know. I mean, I was sat there not for very long. As soon as I saw Hamilton and Gasly drag racing to the line on the final lap, I was stood up and I was losing my marbles. I could not believe, one, that Gasly was fighting Hamilton for P2 on the final lap, but also the Honda quicker than the Mercedes. Huh? Alonso sat there like, what have I done? What have I done? If Alonso comes back and goes, I want to race for McLaren now, tough. You've missed your opportunity. It's Lando and Carlos's time now. Did anyone else see the Lando team radio at the end where he was just like, I was really slow? Because the team were thanking him on, I think, letting Carlos through, and then Lando was like, oh, it wasn't my choice, I was just really slow. And then the team were like, oh, it wasn't that you were slow, the hard tire's really bad. And it was just a sad little exchange. So the end of the race comes and Max Verstappen wins beautifully. What an unbelievable drive from him. He made some amazing overtakes on Hamilton and all the chaos behind him just didn't faze him. It was fantastic from him, but third place was under deliberation after Hamilton hitting Albon, but then going on the podium because the stewards were investigating for about 17 years. At Captain Carol 9, steward's office after Brazil. My God, please. I don't get it. I don't get why they do that after the race, especially if it's for the podium. Because then you have Carlos 2 hours later when everyone's gone home going, oh, woo, look guys, I've got the podium, here's my trophy. It's a letdown for Carlos. It's his first podium and he doesn't even, I mean, of course, Carlos Sainz, the only man to not be featured ever on TV. You know, he does all these overtakes, doesn't get featured. He gets a first podium, isn't on TV. There's some conspiracy theory there, which not happy. Carlos should be on the podium in Abu Dhabi, no matter what. Just a fourth place, but third from Brazil, you know what I'm saying? Right, let's get into the top 5 moments from anywhere on social media. Let's begin with @Odems from Twitter. Horner, gigacubits isn't real. It doesn't exist. And he sure as hell isn't going to hold you up in the pits. Don't ask. If you don't get it, you won't ever get it. But my God, that is brilliant. I love it so much. Okay, next up we've got Crash Vettel on Instagram. Today's podium, a Honda-powered car, a McLaren. I don't feel any ounce of sympathy for Alonso. Is that bad? Does that make me a bad person? F1.memes from Instagram. Albon getting P2. I mean, it's a funny meme, but there's 10% of me that just, my heart just falls away and tears knowing that Albon didn't get a podium. What a lovely man. And he really did deserve some silverware from Brazil after all the chaos. He was there in the mix until he left a gap for Hamilton to go up the inside. Rookie error, but please, Albon, I'm sorry. It's sad. Next up, F1 Itter memes, also from Instagram, and also use the hashtag WTF1 as well. Nice work. It's brilliant. It pretty much makes sense. I love these cars memes, and this one is no exception. Brilliant meme. Oh dear, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in that Ferrari debrief. Because Charles was so, calm and collected in the interview, I'm not going to talk about the incident, I'm just really upset. Gets into the flipping debrief. Right! And finally, for the top 5 moments anywhere on social media, it's from Papaya01 on Reddit. Bottas was just a forgotten man in this race, wasn't he? At the time, oh my God, Bottas' engine's gone. At the end, who's Bottas? Social Media Team Championship time now, and my goodness me, there was actually quite a few nice little submissions from the teams, quite a few reactive ones as well, so let's get into the top 3. In third position, they weren't on the podium, but they are in Social Media Team Championship. It is, of course, McLaren F1. We will never stop. I love those pictures, and I love the fact Carlos Sainz from P20 on the grid gets P3 in a McLaren. That is absolutely ridiculous. I know it was a chaotic race, but an unbelievable strategy from McLaren. Carlos has driven fantastically throughout the entire season and deserves this silverware. I know Lando was a little bit sad, but this was his teammate's time. Well done, Carlos. In second place, we have Aston Martin Red Bull Racing, and this is their Spy, their Red Bull Spy thing that they have on their account. This is the most technologically advanced sport in the world, where we can measure ride height to within a micron and calculate fuel use to the gram. Just don't ask us to hang wallpaper straight. And of course, Sport Pace and Race Formula 1 team came in with a reply going, oh, you know, we're trying to put wallpaper up, something like that. Just pink, obviously, but yeah, good job. And finally, the winners of the Social Media Team Championship for the Brazilian Grand Prix are... It's not Sport Pacer. It is Rocket Williams Racing. Now, this was after the Kubica pit stop. Verstappen, obviously, that whole incident that happened, checking our notifications. I can only imagine the abuse that was in there, but fantastic work from Williams. Great little reactive post, and that is full marks for you for the Brazilian Grand Prix. That's 1 point for McLaren F1, 2 points for Aston Martin Red Bull Racing, and 3 points for Rocket Williams Racing.
And now it's time for Race Rundown with your host, Matthew Gallagher.
Here we go then, race rundown time. I have to do this off not the F1 graphics, so I'm very upset, but then I did it really well last time I did it. Let's see if I can get straight into it, straight do it, straight done it, let's do it. Finishes of the race rundown, finishes the Brazilian Grand Prix even, let's do it. Okay. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Norris, Perez,
Kvyat.
Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen. That's really weird to say Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen as the top four. What is going on in F1 these days? We don't need to change it. Let's scrap the regulations. It's great. Let's try again. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Norris, Perez, Kvyat again. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi. Why am I some sort of conductor? Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Norris, Perez, Kvyat, Magnussen, Russell goes on. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Norris, Perez, Kvyat, Magnussen, Russell goes on, Albon, Hulkenberg, Kubica. That will do, donkey. That will do. And the non-finishers, quite the selection of juicy competitors. Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas. Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas. Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas. Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas. And that is it for the internet's best reactions to the Brazilian Grand Prix. I'm sorry if I was a bit hyper, a bit weird, but you like that, don't you? Maybe that's why you watch. Who knows? But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for getting involved. If you want to get involved next time for the final race of the 2019 season for Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks, use the hashtag WTF1 on social media and we will pick the very best ones to be featured next time. Remember, this t-shirt is also on the WTF1 shop. Make sure you go and check out the description below to see if you can get involved in the Kimi Raikkonen fan club, because I'm in it, P4, nearly a podium. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Matt with WTF1, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for Abu Dhabi.